Hey guys, welcome to Rationality, Reason, and Reality. I'm Supernova. This is the third part of my four-part series on God's justice, specifically how he employs punishment wrong. In the first part, we saw where God employs effects like punishment, harming somebody, but without actually trying to punish somebody for wrongdoing. He does it to innocent people. In the second part, we looked at God actually trying to punish people who had done wrong, but misdirecting it, hurting people who were innocent or punishing people on behalf of others who had done wrong. And so again, not being able to reform people's behavior through punishment. In this part, we're going to look at how God fails to reform people's behavior by choosing the nuclear option, by killing people off. For example, we've got the story of Noah's Ark, where people were either violent or had angel DNA. I won't go into the specifics because they're not really important. In either case, God just decided to kill everybody for these crimes except for Noah and his family. Now, there's no chance that they could reform themselves and become less violent through being killed because there's no chance for them to do anything after that point. And so they've lost the ability to become better people because you can't do that in death. Later in Genesis, we see the same thing with Sodom and Gomorrah getting destroyed by fire from heaven. We're given two reasons again for why this happened: violence and or homosexuality. And the cities are destroyed. And these people can't choose to become, to have straight sex or give up their violence. They're not even told, hey, do this or you will get destroyed. They were just simply destroyed. And shortly after that, we see the example of Lot's wife getting killed by being turned to a pillar of salt. As Lot and his family are leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, they're commanded not to look back at the destruction, but she does, and she turns into a pillar of salt, presumably through God, because that's not a natural effect. That's something supernatural, and so she would have been specifically turned to a pillar of salt by God. And she couldn't learn not to look at Sodom and Gomorrah. And somebody may look at all these examples and say, yeah, they're not meant to reform those people. They're meant to reform others through the deterrence effect. That's what many people argue for when they suggest capital punishment. They say, if you kill a murderer, then other people who would murder will be scared off from it because of their fear of death. They don't want to die, so they won't kill other people. And good, you have a good point there. It can do that, but these three examples and others don't. They can't. When we look at Noah's flood, no matter what the cause, in the end, we're shown the rainbow as a sign that God will never flood the earth again. And if we're told that this punishment won't happen for this crime again, the punishment isn't going to be a deterrent. Nobody's worried about the earth getting flooded for violence or angel DNA or whatever, because we've already been told it can't happen again. So why worry about it? In the case of Sodom and Gomorrah, there's no promise that fire won't rain from the sky and destroy a city, but it would have if it could have. We've had violent cities. We've had gay cities. I mean, everybody knows that San Francisco is very well known for homosexuality. And it doesn't undergo any natural disaster, especially fire from heaven. We don't expect it to happen. We haven't seen it happen. We're not going to see it happen. Nobody's worried about that happening. And so because of that, it doesn't deter anybody from being violent or gay. We still have those problems, if you want to see it that way, today. And in the third case, and probably most important because it's just so bad, Lot's wife doesn't serve as a deterrent for anybody because nobody can watch Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed. Nobody can break that commandment. So it didn't help them then. It doesn't help us now. It couldn't deter anybody. Some may say that the things that she was killed for was pity when she was looking at those cities, and perhaps she was looking back at them because she pitied the people who are the target of God's wrath. But pity has never been declared a sin in the Bible. Nobody, as far as we know, has ever been killed for pity. And so again, it's too specific. There's nothing that we could apply from her actions towards our lives, and so it won't deter us from pitying, or and of course not from watching Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed, because you couldn't if you wanted to. And so God utterly fails to deter anybody with these murders, which is the only possible thing that he could gain from punishing these people with murder. And furthermore, it's when we go back to God's justice in general, it's unfair. Because if you punish some people one way and punish some people another, it's somebody's going to get screwed by the system. People who, for instance, have a big city full of gay people that doesn't get destroyed by fire, they've lucked out. People from Sodom and Gomorrah, if they knew about it, would say, well, that wasn't very fair to treat us that way because you didn't do it to them. Anybody can see that. It's not only has to be a proper punishment, but it has to be a consistent punishment. And I will discuss that in the next part, where we talk about operant conditioning, how you can and should teach others how to do things right, how to reform their behavior properly. And we'll see again why God simply fails to do that. Nobody could ever learn anything from God's punishments. And we'll talk about that in the next video. I hope you catch me in it. Peace.